morning. So this morning we are making meatloaf, and this recipe came from our uncle Sam. He lives just down the road from us, and these are all the ingredients that you're going to need. So I'm going to list all the ingredients here on the screen somewhere. If I scoot over, there'll be more room to list them. I have got 1.5 pounds beef. I actually have 4 pounds here, so I'm going to go ahead and double this recipe, and we're going to have 2 pans of it instead of 1, but I'm going to put the original recipe up here. So I'll try to read it to you in the original recipe, even though I'm doubling it, just to make it complicated, of course. So we're going to have 1.5 pounds of beef, 1 egg, 1 onion, 1 cup of milk, 1 cup dry breadcrumbs, salt, 2 tablespoons brown sugar, 2 tablespoons mustard, and 1/3 cup of ketchup, cooked at 350. And like I said, I'm going to double this. So you can either follow along with me or use the recipe, but don't intermix because you'll end up with something otherwise. I'm going to start my oven. Okay, so to start, I need a knife. I try not to walk out of the frame too much. Try to get it all right here. I'm going to go ahead and put my ground beef, thawed ground beef, in the bowl. Okay, and then I'm going to add, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of squish this down. Don't need that anymore. You want to make sure that your meat is really thawed. If it's still froze, then this is not going to work out well for you. Okay. Now I'm going to add my eggs. I'm using 2, so I'm doubling the recipe. And then I am going to dice up an onion. So let me slide this over. This is just a sweet Vidalia. I'm not going to dice that too aggressively because I'm one of those people that cannot cut up an onion without crying. And I've got more eye makeup on today than I care to reapply. So, in goes the onion. And if you're paying attention, you notice that I have 1 onion on my recipe and I'm only putting 1 in my doubled recipe on the table for the same reason. We really like onion, but I can't cut up 2 today. So we're just going to go with 1. I'm just going to kind of mix it in here. We're not getting really aggressive in the mixing yet. All right, now we're going to add 1 cup of milk. So 2 cups of milk. Poured a little heavy, so put a little back. And then I have 1 cup of dry breadcrumbs on my recipe next. So I'm going to take this entire heel of homemade bread here that is thoroughly dried on the counter overnight and just crumble that up. those go. Alright, we're going to add some salt. Meatloaf is not rocket science, so a little bit of this, a little bit of that. One thing that's not on my recipe that I am going to add, should be on the recipe, is pepper. And I'm adding like a tablespoon of salt and pepper to this. Just guessing, but that's about what it is. And then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. So 4 for my recipe. I don't think I actually own a tablespoon. So I just use a spoon that goes on the table. Someday I'll have a nice set, silver set of them or something pretty. Just don't have them right now. So in there goes 1, 2, 3, 4. Oven's hot. And we're going to do, the recipe says 2 tablespoons mustard, so we're going to do 4. And then a 1/3 cup of ketchup. So I'm going to do 2 1/3 cups of ketchup. And that is everything the recipe calls for. So then the next step is to mix it really good. You might have to get in there with your hands. All right, here's what our project looks like. Very soupy. I don't want to spill it out of the bowl here. Okay, and then I'm going to put them in 2 small pans. You could do 1 large pan if you like really soft and moist meatloaf, but we kind of like the drier, crispy edges more, so we do as many edges as we can when we make meatloaf. And you could do it in a loaf pan and have thick meatloaf, like an actual loaf of meatloaf, and it'll be really moist in the middle and it'll be just fine. But again, we like thin, crispy meatloaf. So I'm going to put this in these after I spray these down. Whichever kind of meatloaf you plan to make sure you kind of press it down into the pan, whether it's really thick, loafy meatloaf or thin, crispy meatloaf. You want to make sure it's evenly pressed. There isn't any great big air bubbles. And you want to watch for chunks of hamburger that you did not get mixed in really well into the project, because those will cook without any of the flavor, without any of the, it'll just cook like hamburger in the middle of your meatloaf. So you'll hit a piece of hamburger that's not flavored and it'll be a different sensation. So make sure you get it really mixed well. So there we have 2 cans of meatloaf ready to go in the oven. Oven is at 350, and I don't have it, this says 1 hour on my recipe card. Sometimes I cook them a little more than that. Like I said, we like really, really done meatloaf where it's kind of crispy, almost burnt on the edges. So I just do the 1 hour so that I know that the middle's done, and then I go from there and watch it really closely. So I'm gonna pop these in the oven. So I will be back in an hour to show you how it turned out. Thank you for hanging out with me today. And if you like my videos, please like, subscribe, comment, share. All those things help my channel to grow and videos to get out to more people. And I will see you in the next video.